Markets rebound after a bout of profit booking. Sensex and Nifty gain 1%, recouping all of yesterday's losses. No stopping the mid-cap party as that index hits a fresh record high.
Bajaj Finance is the top Nifty gainer after reporting a 25% rise in new loans in the Q3. Assets under management also surged by 34% in comparison to last year.
Real estate stocks continue to shine. Nifty Realty Index gains over 6%, hitting the highest level in the last 15 years.
Hello and welcome to Markets Forward, the show where we get you all the data points need to gear up for the next trading session. I'm Nigel D'Souza, and joining me as always, my colleague, Surbhi Opade. Hey, Surbhi.
Hi, Nigel. Bulls are saying, don't count us out just yet. It was that kind of a day, and we'll tell you all about it as we go forward. Lots to cover over the next 20-odd minutes. We'll, of course, get you the big movers and shakers of the day, all the key news flow that powered stocks on the Lal Street, the top corporate voices that you should bear in mind, and, of course, all the events that you need to track for tomorrow. But before that, let's talk about today. We started with not great cues, Nigel, but what a comeback from India.
Well, we said it, right? Yesterday as well as today, the Nifty Bank is going to be the one.
Yeah.
That's the one that got visibility with regard to earnings and valuation support as well. I was looking at a Jefferies note as well, and they're saying that it's trading at a bit of a discount. The Nifty banking names are trading at a discount in comparison to their averages. So that always holds you in good stead. And given that the global cues were a little bit cloudy with the yields moving up, US 10-year yields moved up, you had the dollar index that was strong, and Brent crude prices as well were up. That's why you said that from the globe, you're not going to get much support. So you look inward, you look at the domestic facing theme, and the Nifty Bank drove the Nifty higher in today's trading session. The Nifty, yes, it did well today, but I think that 21,830 mark, that will continue to be a bit of a resistance zone. So for the time being, it appears we're in that 350-point range. On the downside, 21,500. On the upside, 21,830. Today as well, you could have an element of weekly expiry that could have played out, which could have helped the Nifty to move up as well, because it's Thursday, you have weekly expiry that plays out there. The star though today was the mid-cap index. You give and take anything with regard to the Nifty, maybe it wants to consolidate, but the mid-cap index itself, that's been running away, and today as well, it was up close to around 1.7%. The theme that dominated today was the real estate stocks, all of them flying away. I don't know how many are buying houses, but the street clearly believes that we are in the initial years of that 10, 15-year cycle that we normally talk about for the real estate cycle. And that's why some of these stocks did well. Just one point should be the mid-cap index is doing well, but some of those stocks, won't be fair to name any of them, but some of those biggest underperformers today, some of them were up 10, 15, 20%. Sometimes that gives you a little bit of an uneasy feeling in your stomach when some of these stocks that move up, which are not backed by fundamentals. So be choosy in the mid-cap space, participate in this party, dance a little bit, but don't lose your footing. That's important.
Can't afford to be away from the dance floor, though, because otherwise you might be missing a lot. You have to be very careful, but you've got to be on the floor.
You got to dance. Music's playing, you have to dance.
Exactly, and that's what today was all about, because the buyers were in. Yesterday we were, saying whether this is going to continue to be a bit of a sell-on bounce kind of a market, but no, absolutely not, because today was a very, very different session despite the support of global cues. And the good thing about today's rally was it was very well-rounded. It wasn't just one or two or three stocks. There was buying in banks, as Nigel pointed out. There was buying in consumer stocks. A lot of the frontline consumer names were up and about as well. Some of the big boys of the market like Reliance and Infosys, these stocks were supporting as well. So all in all, no complaints. The only issue is that we need global markets to settle down. We need the dollar to start cooling off and yields to sort of, remain in that band, because overnight the spike that we had on the US 10-year, that 4% mark, that would make people very nervous. So we need to watch out for the US market action very carefully. And while we celebrate the rise of the mid-caps here and the pullback today, need to keep a hawk eye on the non-farm payrolls data and just the way US markets and US yields and the dollar move. Having said that, let's tell you what the lineup today is going to look like. There's plenty on the show, as we just pointed out. So we'll have, of course, all the top movers of the day with Hormaz in just a bit. The sector of the day was, of course, real estate. We'll talk about that. The stock of the day was Bajaj Finance. Abhishek is going to join in to talk about all the major reasons that the stock was flying high. CNBC-TV18's popular segment, D-Street Chatter, of course, is going to come in. Nimesh will tell us why Infosys was buzzing in today's trading action. Last but not the least, we'll, of course, get you all the events to watch out for tomorrow. But to kick things off, let's go across to Hormuz for the big movers and shakers of the day. Hormuz.
If the Bulls were in a movie, they would have said Abhi hum zinda hai. But then the mid-cap party, as you said, the mid-caps were the stars of the session. And what was having a bigger party, though, was realty. And the realty stocks were the actual stars of today's
Okay, all right, Hormuz, we'll just come back to you and just a bit from now. For the time being, let's welcome some of our guests on the show. Both of them should come up for you on the screen as well. We have Ambareesh Baliga, who's joining in to help us out with some fundamental analysis. And Prakash Gaba as well will be joining in to help us out with some technical analysis. Hi, gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining in. Prakash, what do you make of today's trading session? Nifty still in that band, or do you believe that, we'll trend up from here and we could see some follow through as well?
Well, good evening to you. Nigel, yesterday we spoke about 21,700. And today stopped just there. So it needs to stay above that. That's important. When you look at the larger term structure, it's positive. When you're looking at the correction, they are within normal limits. So the uptrend is still intact, not compromised. But still, we need to come out of the woods as far as 21,700 is concerned. And looks like we would. Why? Because when I look at the Bank Nifty, the important level that we spoke about was 48,100. Today, it's close to about that. Now, that has become a support to work with. So if Bank Nifty is up, perhaps it'll push up Nifty as well. It'll help Nifty up. So it looks like Nifty and Bank Nifty both should be up tomorrow. Looks like so far the corrections are within normal limits and the uptrend should resume.
Hey, all right, Prakash, stay on. We have lots of questions for you. But we'll now go back to Hormuz. Had a bit of an audio issue over there. But Hormuz is back with us to tell us about the big movers and shakers.
Well, if the Bulls were in a movie, they would have said that Abhi hum zinda hai. But as you highlighted, the mid-caps were the stars of the session. But what was having a bigger party, though, was the real estate index. And that index ended at a 15-year high. And pick up any stock in the realty index, and all of them were higher. Prestige Estates, Sobha, Keystone Realtors, DLF. Everybody did well today. But a theme that got overshadowed today in the realty rally was power. And all the power stocks were also trading higher today. NTPC was at a record high. Torrent Power because of the MOUs that they signed. And in line of that, Tata Power, JSW Energy, Inox Green, all of them continued to do well. Business updates continued to trickle in. There was Bajaj Finance, which was the top Nifty gainer. Abhishek will speak more on that. Suryodaya Small Finance Bank, Angel One, Ujjivan, all of them shared their business updates and all of them did well. What also did well, though, was DCM Shriram, and that stock, the update came in just before market closing that they have signed MOUs worth around 12,000 crore rupees with the Gujarat government. The stock, that the spike that came in towards the end of the session, 10% higher on DCM Shriram. But what didn't do well, though, was GM Breweries, and as usual, it kickstarted the earnings season. The stock ending 4% lower. The net profit was down 13% during the quarter on a year-on-year basis. Another Godrej Group stock that did well today was Godrej Consumer Products and GCPL. There was a 10th day of gains today for the stock. It is at a record high, ending 3% higher at 1,200 rupees. India Glycols was another outperformer in today's session, and that stock is up 25% in a month, and it closed at a 15-month high today, 6% higher there for India Glycols. But what did not do well, APL Apollo, the stock continues to underperform after its business updates, declining for the 8th day in a row, and that stock has broken below its 200-day moving average in today's session, just under 1.5% there for APL Apollo. And lastly, Century Textiles, that was one stock that did very well today, 12% on Century Textiles. That stock is also at a record high, and it was the biggest single day gain that the stock saw in 2 years. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, Hormuz. Amrish, let's come across to you, discuss a couple of these stocks that did pretty well in today's trading session. The small finance banks, a couple of them did quite well. What's your view out there? Do you have a pick from the small finance banks, or you like any other banking or financial name?
In fact, I've been a bit cautious as far as the banking names are concerned. But when it comes to small finance banks, I think there's still some more upside because even today, if you look at the update which has come from Suryodaya, I think it was quite decent. Advances are 41%, CASA up 81%. Deposits were up about 38%. So I think these small finance banks, I suppose, for the next couple of quarters, you could still see some further action. So Suryodaya surely would be one of those picks where there's still a decent upside left.
Okay, all right, got that. Speaking of financials, let's talk about the stock of the day. We have, of course, Abhishek joining in to talk about Bajaj Finance. The stock rallied over 4% after reporting the third quarter business update. Assets under management have grown nearly 35% on a year-on-year basis. Let's go across to Abhishek for more details on this. The street really liking what they heard from Bajaj Finance, Abhishek?
Well, the competition is not taking away business from NBFC or rather from Bajaj Finance especially. So the best AUM growth on a YY basis in last 16 quarters of 4 years is what you have seen in the business update of Bajaj Finance. So consumer or customer base has actually grown by 21.7% YOY and 5% sequentially. The AUM growth was about 34.7% YOY and about 7.1% sequentially. YOY, the AUM growth is the best in last 16 quarters, and sequentially, despite a strong Q2, that they had about 7.5% growth over there, they still continued to have 7% plus kind of a growth even in this quarter. So looks like they will beat their estimate that they have given for FY24 with respect to AUM growth being around 27-28%. The cross-sell rate has actually improved to 7.5% versus 6.5% in the previous quarter. The new loans are up 25.8% YOY and about 15.6% sequentially. Q3 in general is very strong with respect to new loans for Bajaj Finance, given it's a festive season this time around. Deposits are up 35% YOY and about 5.8% sequentially. Liquidity in the balance sheet have reduced YOY, but that's a given factor that you are seeing with across NBFCs. Last year they had kept buffer with respect to liquidity in the balance sheet, and that's come down on a YOY basis. It's up, however, on a sequential basis by 1.75%. Back to you.
Okay, all right, Abhishek, thanks a lot for that. Prakash, let's come across to you first. Bajaj Finance, one of those stocks that have done very, very well, made a lot of money. But as Abhishek just told us, that AUM growth is something that the street likes. And, second quarter running that we're seeing this sort of a growth. What's your view on the stock technically? And then Ambareesh will get your view on it.
Well, I like the stock technically. It's given a good base formation closer to 7,200 to 7,300 zone. And then we saw an up move last couple of days. When I look at the higher term frame chart of Bajaj Finance, looks good to me, trading at around 7709. Can it go to 8,000? Looks like it can go to 8,000 and beyond. It will take its own sweet time for that. So if you get a dips, I think those will be buying up portions of Bajaj Finance. It's up.
Okay, all right. Looking good technically. Ambareesh, what about you? It's not cheap, never been cheap, and it probably will never be cheap. What's your view on the stock at current reckoning?
Going has been good, no doubt. I mean, you look at the headline numbers, they are decent. And so I think there's a further upside. But let me tell you that we are yet to see action from Jio Finance. And when that starts, you'll see disruption in the sector. And Bajaj Finance will be the first one, I suppose, to get affected. So I think we need to keep that at the back of the mind.
Okay, fair point. With that, let's move on to the sector of the day, and that had to be what else but real estate. The Nifty Realty Index rallied over 6% today. The index is at a 15-year high. Sobha surged about 13% on the back of a bullish note that came in from Motilal Oswal. Other stocks like Godrej Properties, Oberoi Realty also gained anywhere between 6 to 8%. We have Sonal joining in with a wrap on all this action that we've seen from the sector today. Very strong show today, Sonal.
Very strong showing, and this is actually ahead of Q3 updates, and no real fundamental reason for this uptick except for Sobha, where of course there was a bullish note. As you pointed out, a 15-year high on the index, and across the board we saw massive moves. Let me just specifically talk about Sobha first up, because it is Motilal Oswal's top pick for 2024. They say after underperforming their peers in the last couple of quarters and years as well, it is set to see a growth which will be driven by a number of initiatives that the company is taking. First, they're going to utilize the land bank that they have, and also through external growth opportunity through its healthy balance sheet. They have a target price of 1,400 rupees on the stock. Over the last 3 years, the management also has been able to improve the balance sheet, cut debt by 1,300 crore rupees, and this is something which will lead to better cash flows for the company, which can of course be invested back into the company. Resolution, however, is required for some of the ongoing cases, which will be the key to watch for this particular stock. There is one Gurugram ED case, the second one is Chennai IT raid, and the third one is Sobha City's occupancy certificate issue, where the company does say that they will be paying penalty because of some lapses, but it will not have such a big impact. As I said, Q3 updates are still awaited from Sobha, Prestige Estates, Puravankara, Macrotech developers, and ahead of this, we have seen this big rally that has come by. Just to give you some macro data, as per an Analyst report, 31% growth was seen in home sales in calendar year 2023. Mumbai topped the chart with a 40% growth, Bengaluru with 29%, Hyderabad, Chennai, all of them did well, but NCR did not, where the growth was just 3%. But let's talk about valuations. How much of it is in the price? Well, they have surged massively. So they are trading anywhere between 3 to 5 times price to book value. That table will come up for you on the screen, and Sobha is still on the lower level. But if we track it over the last couple of years and track it with the net asset value, most of them are above their net asset value right now. And after today's move, I think they would have crossed those levels as well. So it looks like a lot of it is in the price, but they've been saying that this is just the start of a strong real estate cycle. We'll have to see which way it goes. But valuation-wise, I think it is at the levels which is a fair value.
Okay, all right. Sonal, thank you very much for that. Let's take the conversation back to our guests then. Prakash, let me come to you. I mean, because fundamentals, we've been discussing this and, it looks like it's a big, strong upcycle. On technicals, which real estate stock looks the strongest to you now?
Well, I like certainly Godrej Properties, which I recommended this morning. And I think Godrej Properties, there are many stocks which are looking good. I would prefer Godrej Properties. Certainly, when I look at the chart, Godrej Properties gives me a feeling it's formed a good base. Closer to 1750, 2000 is crossed with Dilse, and 2100 is a strong support zone. Looks like the next technical target is around 2500. I think it's heading up there.
Okay, so Godrej Properties is Prakash's technical pick on real estate. Ambareesh, what about you? I mean, no denying, and the numbers are fantastic. Like Sonal was telling us, 40% rise in home sales in Mumbai alone. But again, the question is, once the stocks have run up so much, then what do you do? I mean, you want to participate if it's a, 10-year upcycle, but then how and what to buy?
No, I mean, like I said earlier, I think this, up move is going to continue for much longer because, when people make money in the markets, the first thing they do is clearly buy, real estate. And 2023, I think investors made much more than they could actually dream of. So I think part of that money will now flow in 2024, 2025 into real estate. And if you look at the real estate prices, they have not really shot up like what we saw, a decade or 15 years back. In that rally, the real estate prices have really shot up. This time it has not. That's because there's no speculation happening in real estate. It is more of people buying for their own use or for letting it out. So there's no froth. And the difference between then and now is that the real estate companies have become much more professional. They are transparent in their dealings as compared to a decade back. And we have more brands in the market than smaller players. So these brands are actually becoming larger. And if you look at the balance sheet, the difference between then and now is you hardly have any stretched balance sheets. So I think there's still a decent upside. And I would say, look at stocks like Godrej, Sobha, which has gone up, can still move up further. And there are also some of the smaller ones like Arihant Superstructures is one which is just doing extremely well as of now. You have Kolte Patil, which has been doing well for a while, and I think that's going to continue. So these are a couple of stocks to be looked at.
Okay, all right, Ambareesh, I wanted to know your view on Hindustan Copper, if any. On a trailing basis, it trades at 85 times, but the street believes that copper is going to be in demand. The government of India's infra push is going to help. If you're going to be getting an electric vehicle, you'll require 80 kgs, to make that vehicle. Earlier, you required only 20 kgs to get a conventional vehicle. What's your view? 280, all the good news in the price, or do you think there's some kind of a booster shot? Maybe there is some optimism. Government wants to sell some stake over here. What's your take?
No, that is always there, that the government may want to sell a stake, and that could actually put a pressure at any point of time. Although there is momentum, it can move up more from here, but from a fundamental angle, I'll not buy it at these levels. It's just a bit too expensive. I'll surely wait for some sort of a downside before buying.
Okay, all right, Ambareesh and Prakash, we will thank you both gentlemen on that note. Appreciate you joining in and giving us all the perspective and advice on the stocks and themes that we have discussed today. Let's move to some corporate views now. SBI Chairman Dinesh Kumar Khara says that the industry will grow at the rate of 14 to 16% and major growth will be seen in corporate credit. Meanwhile, Ramesh Swaminathan, ED and Global CFO at Lupin, says that the company will hit a run rate of $200 million in terms of quarterly sales from the US market. He's expecting this level to sustain. The company is also expecting to cross $1 billion in sales in the US. He adds that the margin is rising and the immediate target for the margin moves up from about 18%, where Lupin's margins currently are, to almost 22 to 23%.
All right, well, on that note, though, let's take a short break. We'll come back with D-Street Chatter, along with all the key market events we need to track. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Here with us on Markets Forward. Well, it's time for our segment D-Street Chatter. Nimesh is here with the latest. Nimesh, what a comeback by the bulls today. What did you pick up from the dealing rooms?
Oh, absolutely. A strong pullback for the markets after just 2 days of consolidation. And today was a day for real estate. What a move in the real estate stocks. The index ended 6% higher and big moves in the individual names as well. In terms of individual stocks, the first stock is part of the real estate name, which is Anantraj Industries. That stock has been consolidating in a narrow range, but I understand the company is likely to raise funds via QIP very soon. The second name is Delivery. A couple of upgrades in the last few days, and the stock has been buzzing off late. Strong buy flows as well. And I understand a domestic mutual fund is an active buyer in Delivery of late. The third stock is Castrol India. That stock has almost hit a 50-week high today. Seen a bit of momentum as well, but looks like there is some bit of profit booking now. So there were sell flows at a leading FI desk in Castrol today. And the last is Infosys. Ended at day's high and in strong volumes. There were MOC buy flows as well. But apart from that, there was a JP Morgan upgrade and also Morgan Stanley tactical note saying that it's a buy going into the results. So Infosys ended at day's high on back of strong flows.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, Nimesh. Well, before we wrap up, let's bring you the key market events that you need to track for tomorrow. Abhishek joins us to tell us exactly that. Abhishek.
While Nigel, to begin with, Japan consumer confidence will be seen. US unemployment data will be the area of focus for India. S&P Global Composite PMI will be the area of focus. Apart from that, RBI will give out the foreign exchange reserve data tomorrow evening at around 5 p.m., which will be watched out keenly as well. Now, Nestle India will consider stock split. That is on 5th of Jan 2024. That will be seen closely. And there are few investor meet happening tomorrow and over the weekend. To begin with, Spark, they are holding an analyst call to provide update on their Parkinson disease program. So this will be on Saturday. Credit Access Grameen will be meeting one of the investors, that is D Group Petercam Asset Management, that is DPAM. Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Abhishek, for that. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Markets Forward. Thank you very much for watching. News and updates continue after the break.